But those teams let Jimmy Butler walk, and now he's in the finals with a Heat team with a bunch of cast-offs and undrafted guys.
Right. Yeah. And you know, too, he wants it because, I mean, you can tell that that's his priority, right? It's not about getting paid. You know, it's about winning. It's about winning the big one. I'm sure you saw that clip from the ceremony after they won the conference finals. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he didn't want to hold the trophy. I think Adebayo tried to hand it to him. And he's like, no, I'm waiting for the next one or something. Like, he's like determined. You know, he refused to hold it because he knows he wants to be holding the big one. And so, you know, he's determined, and he's on fire to for this one kind of singular goal. On this episode of Bustin' Chops, Calling Shots, we talk everything NBA and NBA Finals. Game 1 is on while we're airing tonight, and we talk a little bit about how the betting strategy we look at when it comes to the over-unders for the series. And we talk a lot about Jimmy Butler, who I'm totally fanboying on right now. We also talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are going to be live on Saturday. How are the Florida Panthers going to fare against the Vegas Knights? And then we talk some NCAA football. The SEC is doing away with divisions. What's the implications for Texas and Oklahoma? And then we go into some NFL, our favorite topic. You know, where's DeAndre Hopkins going to go? Is Dalvin Cook going to stay in Minnesota? And John gives his ideas of what are the 5 teams that have the most pressure to perform this year, and what are the 5 quarterbacks. That's the show.
Who said anything about gambling? It's not gambling when you know you're going to win.
I don't bet. What do you mean you don't bet? I mean, I don't bet.
You are listening to Bustin' Chops and Callin' Shots.
Hello, our winners, and welcome back to another episode of Bustin' Chops, Callin' Shots. Producer AJ back again. Chop will be with us for a little while here, so you guys are going to have to get used to me. But you know, you always have John here with you as well. John Cole, once again winners with us. You know, how's it going, buddy? It's summertime. You know, kids are out of school. You know, I got sports going. Like, you know,
look, man,
it's a great time of year.
NBA Finals starting. Gave out a big 5-unit play. We got the Denver Nuggets minus a game and a half in the series, and the Florida Panthers plus 2.5 games in the series. That parlays minus 115. Gave it out as a 5-uniter. And look, June, the page is turned. The page is turned.
I like it.
It's been a very rough April and May. Lost 9 games in the last week in the bottom of the 9th. But right now, I have the opportunity. We got the Blue Jays in earlier. The Nuggets are up a ton. Right now, Red Sox up 3-2, runners second and third. If they win that and the Nuggets hold on, I'll be a crisp 2-0.
There we go.
The last time that happened, I feel like Bill Clinton was in the Oval Office with a pack of cigars, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. I remember those days. It's June, right? I mean, it's
June.
It's a whole new season. It's a whole new time of the year.
All I needed was 80-degree weather and watching hot blondes walking down the street to get me back my mojo back.
There you go. A couple Spanish onions walking by.
Yes. Spanish, red,
doesn't matter.
Vidalia.
Vidalia.
A little Vidalia for you.
Yeah. So, well, Chop, you know, he doesn't like warm weather. It doesn't pick him up as much as it picks you up. I love it personally. I don't mind sweating a little bit outside, you know.
Dude, 90 degrees and sweating, I'm good.
It's summer, man. We're all sweating. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just get used to it. So, real quick, guys, I just want to let you know about our sponsor today on the show. It is Bet Online. It's your number one source for all your basketball info and stats, news, and scores. You can get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs, which are going on right now. So better check them out. Bet Online is your sports information headquarters this season, as they have you covered for all your sports wagering needs: basketball, MLB, NHL, hockey, right into the UFC and boxing. As UFC, that's something I need to get on top of. So BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games, actually. So you can play them right from your home. Look out, head over to the website. It's going to be betonline.ag, and use your mobile device to get on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus and your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So that's our sponsor for today. And guys, don't forget to check us out. If you're watching us on YouTube, please go over to the podcast and subscribe. We'd really, really love it. And if you're listening to us on podcast, guys, don't forget to go and check us out on YouTube. That's going to be Bustin' Chops, Callin' Shots, youtube.com/@Bustin' Chops. No, excuse me. We changed it. It's at BCCS Sports. So
Yep.
never mind. We made it even easier for you. And then, of
Yep.
course, on all the socials, Instagram and Facebook, Bustin Chops, Callin Shots, TikTok and Twitter at BCCS Sports. So give us a follow if you can. And John, tonight, I thought maybe, we hadn't really got a lot of user questions or listener questions in on the show. So I thought maybe
I blew some people up on TikTok today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was on the treadmill, and I don't usually comment. I need to do better about that to interact with the people.
Definitely.
But I got they don't even follow us, right? Our TikTok just scrolled across, and you can tell they're people that just live on social media, probably in their parents' basement, at like 30, 40, 50 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wife, kids, got a job. They're sitting there with their hand in their pants like Al Bundy. But I digress. But everybody was giving me heck about my whole Emi Udoka, Ja Morant thing.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Right. Yeah. And I'm just like, look, I'm off Ja. Okay. He didn't break any laws, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it, folks. All right. I get it.
We're over it.
I was just making the parallel of what Udoka did and lost his job and what Ja did. And I don't think either of them are comparable for what happened to Udoka and what has or has not happened to Morant. That's all I was saying. So not that I really give a damn about anybody else's opinion, but I just wanted to, clear the air.
Absolutely. It's a fair thing. I mean, look, they want to hear from the man themselves anyway. So, whether it's good or bad, any press is good press. So I would say keep on doing it. Right.
Hey, like T.O. that love me some me.
Love me some me. So since we didn't get any less listener questions, we thought maybe I had to go back in an old YouTube clip actually. And I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Walter Shouts. And it was in response to your video where you were talking about, is Manning actually going to be the starter at Texas, or are they going to stick with Ewers? And he said the best QB is the backup. He's a true stud, and he's light years better than Ewers or Manning. Thoughts? Who is the backup? I don't even really know. But this guy seems really, really committed. What do you think? I mean, is there anything here?
Well, I mean, again, I'd have to know who the backup is. I mean, like, I mean, was it Gilbert? But I thought the kid left. Gilbert?
No. Man, I don't know. So we got Ewers, of course. We got, I wish they would sort these better whenever you go to their rosters or depth charts here. Manning, there's Manning, and Cole Loward? L-O-W-A-R-D?
Yeah, he's not better than yours, or okay. I mean, he must be that kid's uncle.
It's like his uncle or something, right? Like
he's either an uncle or a heavy donor that helped recruit him.
Walter,
look, the kid. In all seriousness, the kid might be really good, but if he was good, he'd be starting.
Yeah,
like
right.
Again, I've said this over and over. I have no beef with Steve Sarkisian. I like Steve Sarkisian. I just can read the writing on the wall. If he doesn't have a phenomenal year, his butt's gone.
Yeah.
Toast.
You've been saying that.
I mean, you got Ewers and Manning on the roster. They better come out at Texas or against Alabama and win. Yeah. They are catching 7 at Alabama. If I could get 8, Texas would intrigue me because Alabama's got quarterback issues. But I mean, if that kid was better, that he has to be a donor of that kid.
It's like one of those like diehard, at least the diehard Texas fans, right? Where they're like, they know the whole roster, like back to front, and like, man, I think he's a sleeper. And you're like, no, you're just really obsessed with like this particular program. So that's okay. Walter, we appreciate it. Please keep leaving comments, guys. Maybe we'll read one of yours on the air. I want to jump into NBA, of course, because look, Game 1 finals. It's Thursday night. You guys will be getting this tomorrow on Friday. The game will obviously already be over. And John and I we're sitting here at halftime right now. So we're watching this game. Like you said, earlier off the air, the Heat are not necessarily going away, but it does really look like Denver has good control of the game, and they're probably not going to lose it. I think the line opened with the Denver +9. Is that right?
-9.
Excuse me. Yeah, Denver -9.
Got all the way down to 7.5. Ticked back up at -8.5 by game time. Actually, the money was split pretty much 50-50.
Wow. Okay.
That and the bet. So both the handle and tickets split about 50-50. So, I mean, Miami Miami's going to win at least a game. I think they're going to win 2. I think it's a 6-game series. But yeah, Denver came out up 17 here. I thought if Miami was going to get one of these first 2 in Denver, because Miami's won game 1 in all 3 series.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Malone has held true to what I thought. He was going to have Denver ready to play, so that didn't happen. So if Denver wins game 1, I think they ultimately win game 2. And now conventional wisdom would be Miami's got to take, 2 of the 3 in Miami, which I think will happen. Come back to Denver game 6. Denver will close it out.
Yeah. So when you were kind of watching how everything was going leading up to the game, there's a lot of talk about like the elevation and potentially Miami having trouble. And I know Spoelstra talked about how his team's ready. They're in shape. Is there any? I know that we talk about this a lot in football, especially with the Rockies and baseball and how the ball travels more lighter, thinner air.
Yep.
Anything there? Is that really going to give Denver the advantage, or just simply because like they're just a more solid all around team?
Well, I think Denver's more solid, but Miami's a really good team. Like Miami's not going to go away. I'm sure they'll cut this thing and they'll be in single digits. Even though right now Denver's up 15 here, make it 13. Adebayo's been a beast.
Yeah,
he's got 20 already.
Yeah.
I think Miami's going to end up covering this 9 or be right around that number. Adebayo's got 20 points with 11 minutes left in the third. Just unreal. And Jokic had 10 assists at halftime. But I think the elevation doesn't matter as much because Miami took that flight Monday right after the game. So they've already been there 2 days, right? So I don't think it's a big of an issue as what it thinks. Now, the key is they're going to have to stay there now tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, going into Sunday. By then, they'll be in really good shape. But I just think Denver's far superior, man. Like the size, the Celtics were easy for them to guard because the Celtics, they're just determined to jack up threes from the parking lot.
Right.
Milwaukee, a little bit of the same way outside of Giannis. So they've gotten kind of the break because Miami's small and aggressive of teams settling for jump shots. Denver that can play through Jokic, and he's such a good passer. Like, remember Shaq back in the day? I mean, Shaq never gets enough credit for how great of a passer he was when the double and triple teams came.
Yeah, because when they collapsed on him, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, and Denver just has that, and it just makes it uber tough. So I think because of Spoelstra and Miami's grit, they get 1 or 2 games, but I just can't foresee a situation where they win this series. I've thought about it. I've broken the games down. I've tried to take my bias of my natural sports fan reaction, which usually burns people, right? I've tried to take that out of an account and take that out of the mix. I just don't see how Miami wins 4 games against this team.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about how you look at these games and as a bettor, and I know you probably talked about this on your Break the Board podcast or daily podcast that you come out with every day, guys. Check it out if you haven't already. On Break the Board, I'm sure you talked a little bit about this, but when you look at betting a series like this, how are you looking at the individual game, especially game 1? And then what are you looking at? I know we gave some plays out. You gave a play out as far as a series bet. The over was it minus 1.5 games basically. And
yep, they got basically Miami can't win more than 2 games in this series. And even that, if you had bet it by itself, it opened up minus 130. It went all the way up to minus 190. And those minus $2 ones I just hate doing. So then I said, okay, I'll put the Florida Panthers with it. Most books allow you to do it. There's a couple guys like they wouldn't let me. But the Florida Panthers, not to lose by more than 2 games. I thought that was a good, safe bet because Denver got all the way up to minus 420 to win the series. Look, you can't lay $420 to win 100. Yeah. That just so that means you're going to lay, 4,200 to win 1,000. You can't do that. You may get away with that once or twice, but in the long run, you're going to go broke laying that much juice. And I didn't like the -9 because again, Miami's not a team that's good. They might get blown out 1 game, but I doubt it. Miami's going to be in there, just like Denver's controlled this game, AJ, and it's 13 points. And Denver's absolutely controlled it.
Yeah.
So Miami's going to hang around the number.
Yeah, they might get back in with a run or 2 here in the third quarter and fourth quarters. So I get that. I think that's an interesting. I've never thought about betting a series like that. Is there value in betting the series winner depending on how things go, right? Like if Miami was to win tonight, or if Denver goes, wins the first two, is there value anywhere else to be able in the middle of the series be able to kind of come back and get some opportunities there? Whereas at the beginning of the series, everything is pretty kind of even and kind of hard to beat Vegas in those types of situations.
Yeah, well, again, since Denver's such a heavy favorite, it makes it tough. Now, if Miami was to steal game one for the series, instead of minus 430, Denver's that's probably going to get cut in half. They'll still be like minus 210, even though they'll be down a game. But I would still lay the 210.
Yeah.
In that case, I would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lay minus, I think today it was like minus 385 for a game. Like you just can't do it. So many bad things can happen. And I do think that betting the underdog after game one, I think the Heat are going to have good value because here's the thing. We got Miami minus the game, or we got Denver minus the game and a half. Mm-hmm. What you really want is you'd want Denver to win this game by like 20. So now game two, the line's probably minus 10 and a half. You take Miami plus the points, right? Now, if Miami were to win game one, come back and win this game, all right, now we got Denver, the price is cut in half. I'll lay $2. I'll lay 200 to win 1,000, or 200 to win 100, 2,000 to win 1,000 at that price, right? And then you just see how it goes. So, like on the flip side, we got the Florida Panthers plus 2.5 games. Well, what we've did is we have the leverage to take Vegas. So, game one will be a no play. But what I'm really hoping for is Florida wins game one, which almost locks in that winning that series bet on the parlay with Denver. And now game two, you got Vegas down 1-0 with their last game at home before they go on the road to Florida in a must win. Yeah, you'd take the Knights in game two minus $1.30. So you just kind of got to navigate it. It's not just who won or who covered. How did they win or how did they cover? Like, I think everybody gets caught up in the end score and doesn't really watch play by play. How did the game truly unfold? So,
yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get more into the NHL Stanley Cup as well a little bit later. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on sort of how you're navigating the betting side. And again, I know you probably talk about this all on the break the board. We don't want to go too deep into betting philosophy, but hey, that's kind of what we do around here. So we want to talk about it a little bit. I've kind of been just like really obsessed with Jimmy Butler lately. Of course, I'm sure everyone has, but I just started thinking about this guy and, I was really wondering, I wanted to get your thoughts on where so far, okay, let's not talk about whether they win or lose. Just so far, his performance in this playoff, this guy, who was drafted in, 2011. He's been in the league for 12 years, 11, 12 years. He's got six All-Stars. Obviously he got the conference finals MVP and all NBA second team. He's had some accolades. He won gold Rio de Janeiro in 2016. So he's got definitely some kind of medals to hang, right? But really, I mean, to me, this guy is just, he's just been a solid player for years, and he shows up in the last few playoffs, and really been the star and just carried his team like a superstar would. And it's like, after his performance so far from what you've seen, like what changes about his legacy now? I mean, is this something where we start to look at him differently? I mean, he's 33 years old, so it's not like he's got a lot of gas left in the tank necessarily. He could play quite a bit longer, who knows? But, has your view of how his legacy might change, or how his legacy might be sort of instilled, changed at all from what you've seen in this playoff so far? Because it's been really impressive.
I think it's a really good example of how you really have got to get to a point very quickly in your career where you decide, why am I playing? Am I playing for money and fame, or do I want to be a part of a winning franchise? because you can't have both.
Right.
Like you just can't, right? I mean, look at Tom Brady. He was always the lowest paid, and people say, oh, well, he had Giselle. That was easy. Okay. Pat Mahomes, he keeps taking less money. He just had a press conference last week. They asked him about it. He's like, I've already made more money than I'll ever need. And it's turned into such a business. It's about the money that you get stuck in bad situations like a Minnesota where it's a disaster. Regardless of how many great players they draft, they still can't go anywhere. Or you get stuck in a Chicago when ever since Krause ran Jordan and the gang off, Chicago, again, just like Minnesota, acquired talent, but the organization is a dumpster fire, right? So Jimmy Butler's had to navigate all that when he had really good structure at Marquette under Buzz Williams, a guy I really like, now coaches Texas A&M. And he was always this hard grit player, but it's like, where's the best possible fit in the best possible situation? Right. And I think a lot of players run into that. Like, if you're Joel Embiid, I'm not saying you have to leave Philly, but you have got to make a determination. What do you want? And then take that to the front office. You know, Karl Anthony Towns, he's not happy in Minnesota. I've been heard he's a lazy ass. I don't know. I don't know the guy from Adam, but there has to be a decision there because, like, if you look at the Denver Nuggets right now, and I'm looking at Jokic and Murray, this Denver team reminds me of those Spurs teams that won, 4 titles and Duncan and Popovich and Melo. This Denver team's going to stay together. Why? I mean, a couple role players might change here and there, but all these guys, you can just tell they're bought into the team. And so I think Jimmy Butler is a good example of how you wasted, and whether it's his fault or not, but now you got to look at if you're Chicago.
Yeah.
What were we doing getting rid of Jimmy Butler?
What were you thinking? Right. Yeah. And
the Philadelphia 76ers chose to hold on to Ben Simmons instead of Jimmy Butler. That was where the whole beef was Butler and Ben Simmons. So you get rid of Butler after Butler's already telling you Ben Simmons is a joke, and the Philly ends up trading Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons may never see the floor again.
Yeah.
Right. And I get all this mental health awareness, blah, 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 whatever. You want to talk about mental health, talk about me and my life the past 60 days. So, either you fight through it or you don't, all right, or get on some meds. I don't know what to tell you. But those teams let Jimmy Butler walk, and now he's in the finals with a Heat team with a bunch of cast-offs and undrafted guys.
Right, yeah. And too, he wants it because, you can tell that that's his priority, right? It's not about getting paid. It's about winning. It's about winning the big one. I'm sure you saw that clip from the ceremony after they won the conference finals. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he didn't want to hold the trophy. I think Adebayo tried to hand it to him. And he's like, no, I'm waiting for the next one or something. Like, he's like determined. He refused to hold it because he knows he wants to be holding the big one. And so he's determined, and he's on fire to for this one kind of singular goal.
And it's a perfect marriage, not just Jimmy Butler, but Eric Spoelstra.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, right now, there's no better coach in the game. There's just not. And I think Malone's pretty close. I'm not saying that because they're the two in the finals. And again, I kind of blasted somebody on TikTok on the comments, and they were like, coaching means nothing. Oh, really? Well, if that was true, LeBron or KD would win the title every year.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's you look, it's harder even to coach great players. I mean, look at the jobs. Look at what Steve Kerr has had to navigate through in Golden State. Mm-hmm. The injuries, the turmoil. Spoelstra, people forget this. When Miami blew that 2-0 lead and Dirk and the Mavs came back and beat them, LeBron's first year, the first super team.
That's right. Yeah.
LeBron went to Pat Riley and said, Spoelstra's got to go. He can't get us there.
Because what we see in his, he was like first or second year at that point. I mean, he was very new. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, but he had been in the organization 23 years.
Right.
Pat Riley had groomed this kid. All right.
Yeah.
Or he hadn't been, he's been there 23 now, but if you didn't have strong leadership of Riley and you didn't have Spoelstra, I mean, just think if Riley and every other GM would have caved to LeBron, because that was like prime LeBron. Pat Riley said no, which there was a bunch of people posted it, so I wasn't going to repost it. But Pat Riley has been to like 19 NBA finals, which is like 24% of all finals ever as a player, as a coach. Like, how great. Like, he is the godfather of basketball.
Totally. Yeah.
Pat Riley, Red Auerbach, they're right there. But
he looks like it too. It's like back
yeah,
there,
but my thing with coaching was like, look at these guys.
Yeah.
You're telling me the Miami Heat are in the final? Like, I love Jimmy Butler and he's willing them, but Jimmy Butler by himself is better than the Boston or the Milwaukee's? No, come on.
Yeah.
It's been a great team that's came together because of great coaching and great leadership in the front office. And why teams don't mimic what Miami and Denver does, draft guys, bring in high character guys, support a great coach. Why teams don't do that, I'll never understand. I'll never understand it.
Yep. It's all about the cohesiveness, right? And I think good coaches understand that, and bringing the right players together at the right time. Obviously, there's a little bit of luck involved and all that, but for the most part, it really comes down to those fundamentals that we always talk about. And so I totally agree there. And did you see there was this funny clip kind of floating around about Jimmy on the the country music thing that I thought that was the funniest thing I saw all week. I loved it. It was, and for those of you who hadn't seen it, check it out. It's on TikTok, and it's like basically Jimmy Butler, didn't really listen to country music, but he was getting tired of all his teammates like having their headphones down around their neck and blasting, hip hop or whatever while they're in warm ups, and he got really annoyed. So he was trying to get back at him, and so he blasted a Tim McGraw song in his headphones, and they're like, what are you doing? Why are you playing that? And he actually started listening to it so many times that he's like, this is actually a really good song. And so now he's apparently a country music fan. So Jimmy, would love to have you now in Nashville anytime.
There you go, Jimmy. Come to Nashville. Yeah, and he's got his own coffee brand. He's a big coffee guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got his own coffee company he started. You see him on these Mick Ultra commercials. Like, look, that just goes to show, I get it. Everybody wants the glitz and the glamour, and everybody wants to be LeBron. And this isn't a knock on LeBron, but sometimes there's much more to be said. Like, again, how much money's too much money?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, we say this to people that have subscribed. All right. So if you're $1,000 better, right? And let's just say through the course of the year, you paid $2,500 with juice and all. I got to be like 5 games over 500 for the whole year for you to get your money back. So if you're mad that I only made you 40 grand after juice and me instead of 80, well, hold on a second. Let's remember the 40 grand you're going to make.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So again, I think we just live in a society. You and I were talking about this earlier. Like, people want this instant gratification. And I think teams want this instant gratification. And Miami said, no, we're just going to go through a right process, not a tanking process like Philly that still hasn't worked out. I mean, just think of all the things people did. Philly, Phoenix, all these. And here you got Miami just rolling out there with a bunch of undrafted guys and Jimmy Butler, who nobody wanted.
Yep. It's a great story. And I don't know if they'll pull it out. And we're not, we're obviously, not bandwagoners here or anything, but we'll find some good stuff to say about, about Jokic and stuff too eventually. But
I got something great to say about him. He's the best player in basketball, and it ain't even close.
Yeah, he's just...
It's not even close.
Yeah, it's we're actually watching this game here, and defensively, offensively, just sound. Just so sound. So, yeah, and then one last thing on the NBA real quick, and we'll sort of bounce to another topic here. So we talked about Jordan last week. We talked about the $3.5 million car. Remember that? Yeah, I remember that. The bottle of Hennessy he's driving around. Yeah. It inspired me to watch this movie that's been on Amazon Prime, the Air movie. Have you seen this?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's good. Is it good?
Oh, it's great. It's a great movie. All-star cast, of course. You can't go wrong. Got, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon again teaming up. But no, it was really good. And, I don't think it necessarily changed any of my opinions. And Jordan certainly gave more spotlight to his parents and how they sort of navigated his career after getting drafted. But it's a really, really cool story. A lot of things that I didn't know, backstories about Adidas, and sort of Converse and the battle that they all had to win. And the fact that, like, really Nike wasn't even in the basketball game before Jordan.
It was a running shoe.
It was a running shoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they came up with this brand new shoe, this,
about to go broke.
Yeah, a line, for a player, which had never been done before, and just a really cool story. And I really did enjoy that movie. I think, some people were saying that maybe it didn't paint Phil Knight in the best light, and you got Ben Affleck playing him, so it's always a toss up there as far as how it's going to come through.
Phil Knight is one of the richest men in the world, and Ben Affleck played his character. I'm sure he'll be okay. I'm sure Phil Knight's all right.
Yeah. So he probably signed off on everything, but no, it's a great movie. So check it out. It's Air, the story of Air Jordan and Michael Jordan and Nike, and it's on Amazon Prime. So subtle plug to our friends over at Amazon. Not like you need it. So you mentioned NHL a little bit, Stanley Cup. So we got obviously the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Knights kicking off on Saturday. How are you looking at the series? And we talked about how this is a crazy thing. We're talking about NHL. It's a game that's literally played on ice, and the whole series is going to be played in Vegas and Florida, like two of the warmest places in the whole country.
Miami and Vegas.
And so it's hilarious, but yeah, how are you thinking about that? You talked a little bit about how you're philosophically kind of, looking at betting it, but how are you feeling going into Saturday night?
I think it's going to be a phenomenal series. I do think the Panthers, look, they've won like 11 of 12 or something like that. I think this is a split going back to South Beach. Now Vegas, they just got no superstars. Again, they're a team and they do it with grit.
Yeah.
As to where Florida's got a little bit more flash there. They've been so red hot. I mean, look, when you take out the Bruins and you take out the Maple Leafs, and especially what they did to the Maple Leafs, and then people forget, Carolina was the second best team in the East all year long behind Boston. I mean, Carolina's no slouch, and Florida just chewed them up and spit them out. So, even though there was some overtime games, like for them just to keep willing their way to win, I think this is going to be a great series. I think at a minimum it's 6 games. I want to see my Vegas Knights win. You know that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Florida in 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're going to
Florida in 7.
Wow.
Here's my philosophy. One, I want to win the parlay bet with that half with Florida plus 2.5 games. But I've bet against the Knights the whole playoffs. So if I just keep betting against them, they'll raise the cup. That's my thought process.
There you go.
Yeah. They're never letting me back in that arena, just so you know.
I see some ulterior motives there. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been brutal.
Well, yeah, like I said, those kick off on Saturday night, so we'll definitely be checking out the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I know, hockey is not basketball. We've had really exciting, NBA playoffs, but hockey's getting really fun to watch. It's getting really, really interesting, especially more of these kind of teams we didn't expect to start to come and get themselves in the playoffs. And, the
Predators got a new head coach.
Still figuring it out, but yeah, we got a new head coach. Barry Trotz decided to start to make a change, and we're talking a little bit about that here in Nashville, and I think that's really just we're going to see probably a pretty big rebuild. I don't see a lot of our stars coming back. At least one or two of them are going to go, and they're going to restructure this thing and maybe kind of philosophically change how they play. Maybe it's more offensive, maybe it's a little more of a hybrid. So we'll see. But yeah, the Predators, it was great when we got a team, here in Nashville, and everyone was kind of like a hockey team in Nashville, but we're pretty big hockey fans down here too. So
yeah, Nashville's a great place, man. I think the whole city's in a rebuild. They're in a rebuild. Titans in a rebuild. And when's that new Titan Stadium coming?
2026, I think is
that thing's going to be sweet, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. So it's not a
it's not a retractable roof, right?
It's not retractable. That was a little bit too pricey. But I do think it's going to have like kind of an indoor outdoor feel similar to Philly. I think they're going to have some kind of windows and stuff like that. It's going to be a place where we obviously, it's going to be covered. So that opens up to, bigger things like obviously Super Bowl and, FIFA World Cup and, things like that. So it's
college
definitely
football playoff. Nashville's a great place, man.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And it's going to be, and Taylor Swift, when she won't be getting rained on when she sells out for 4 stadium shows anymore. So I don't know if you saw that, but.
No, look, the whole Taylor Swift thing, I'm out on. People paying, this dad paid $20-some thousand for 4 nosebleed tickets.
Yeah.
Then I see these grown women wearing Depends so they don't have to go to the bathroom and miss a song. Like this whole Swiftie revolution is beyond me, and nothing against Taylor Swift. But I mean, we act like she's the greatest artist ever. And like, whether it's pop or country, I don't even think she's close. No offense. I mean, like, I just don't get it.
It's just crazy. It's crazy to see her, because I've kind of followed her from the beginning. When she first started kind of playing some of her own shows and stopped opening for people, one of her first shows she did was at UC. I'm not in California anymore. UT Chattanooga. And my buddies Love and Theft opened up for her. And I remember seeing her, and it was just like, okay, she's all right, but I don't see the big deal. This time she's like 16, you know, she's just kind of this like country, you know, poppy kind of thing that, you know, whatever, you know, it's more of this teen kind of thing going on. And to see how she's evolved her career and where she's gone and taken it, it's really incredible. Like to become, we're sitting on a tour bus, and she had a crush on my friend Steven, who she wrote a song about. And then now she's the biggest pop star in the whole world. Like, it's insane to see it. And
again, I got nothing against Taylor Swift whatsoever. I'm just like,
it's crazy.
Think that the cost and what people are doing. I mean, and again, I know the 80s, like the Aerosmiths, the Whitney Houstons, whatever, it was a different time. But even like now, I mean, would people pay that much to see the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or
I don't think so.
Carrie Underwood or Garth Brooks? I mean, no. I don't know. I just think the price, like, it's just crazy. It blows my mind. No, I mean, I think she's great. And again, your buddy probably feels like a jacko right now.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah, it's on.
Good job for ruining your meal ticket, buddy.
I think about that often. Like, wonder what Steven's thinking about now. I mean, he's happily married with children. He's doing.
Oh
great.
Yeah, happily married. Working the line at Walmart, handing out rollback stickers.
Oh no, they're still playing shows. They're still doing good. But yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, my mother-in-law was talking about a Dead & Company. She's like, "Can you believe these tickets for Dead & Company? Like the nosebleeds are like $90." And I'm like, you know, people just paid like $500 a ticket for nosebleed seats to see Taylor Swift. Like
$500. If you find a $500 ticket, that's amazing.
Well, whatever it was crazy. Like, it was just,
there were tickets, $30,000 for a ticket on StubHub.
Yeah. It was crazy.
It's just insane. And people paying it.
Yeah. Well, just nuts. All right. Enough about Taylor Swift and country music or other types of music. Although I could talk about that at length.
The Nuggets up 21 here right at the end of the third.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to cover at this point. Well, we'll see.
The Heat is on fire.
Yeah, you're a little bit ahead of me there. So, what about NCAA? Let's talk a bit about college football. You were the one who informed me earlier that, and I was too busy to even pay attention to what happened, but apparently the SEC is going to do away with their divisions when Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC. So
yep.
I'm pretty excited about that, honestly, because it's been kind of funky the way that the division's been laid out, especially for like teams like Georgia and even Tennessee. You know, it's kind of like, you know, do we think it's going to be like more parity, or, you know, is it something that could potentially, I know they're going to still play a certain amount of conference games, but, you know, there is going to be a lot of teams in the SEC. So like, I could still see people complaining about like how the schedules come out and what you get.
Well, the coach of Mizzou actually said, you know, it's amazing to think 13 colonies got together and built the United States into what it was.
Yeah.
But every year we get in the room and can't agree on a schedule for college football. Yeah. I mean, he let them have it. So, but look, I mean, I think if you're first of all, the SEC just proves again why, if you give control to the NCAA, they'll screw it up. This whole divisions thing needs to go away. I always use the Big Ten as an example. I mean, it's Cupcake City, right?
Yeah.
But in the SEC, I mean, I think it has to go somewhat off power ratings. But I think the other part is, okay, Texas and Oklahoma have played each other since the beginning of the time. They got to play. Mm-hmm. But Georgia really, I mean, they dodge this every year.
Yeah.
Because they play Florida and Tennessee, right. And Tennessee just got relevant again.
Right. Florida
hasn't been relevant for a while. So if you put Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama,
yep.
And then either Texas or Oklahoma, right? All those teams should have to play each other. So there's 5 or 6 of your games.
Agreed.
The big boys got to play the big, because again, we got to get out of this notion of no loss or one loss means you're in the college football playoff.
Right.
Right. We're about to expand to 8 teams. It's okay to have a 2 or 3 loss team if they played a legit schedule. Right now, if Alabama's playing Savannah State 3 games, and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to level it out. I mean, I think, listen, man, you got 12 games. You got your non-conference games, 8 or 9 conference games. Then you should play a big powerhouse outside of your conference if you're a powerhouse yourself. And then look, the other 2 games, if you want to mix them in and play some powder puffs, all right, I'm cool with it. But no more than 2 cupcakes.
Yeah. And that was our big issue with Alabama last year, right? And, you know, it's like,
but on the flip side, they still had a way harder schedule than Georgia.
Right.
Tennessee had to play Georgia, LSU, Florida, Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
And didn't even get a lick of consideration. Right. And I think they're the best team in college football going in this year. I mean, I'll have those ratings out here in 1st of July during the All-Star break when there's nothing to talk about when baseball's on a break. But I think they're right up there, them, USC. So again, the big boys got to play the big boys. No offense to Missouri, though. I loved his comment. I don't need to see Missouri playing Alabama. You know what I mean? Like Alabama's non-conference games, they need to be playing Georgia, Florida, LSU, those teams. And then, okay, because they're already going to have to play 2 to 3 cupcakes, right? They're already going to have to play a Kentucky or a Missouri because they're in the conference. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, let's not, I guess what I'm saying, Vanderbilt, I mean, gosh, Vanderbilt's like a layup. I mean, you can dress the cheerleading squad and beat Vanderbilt. I mean, playing Vanderbilt is the only time I've ever seen a team on their opening drive score 3 touchdowns against them on the opening drive. I mean, one drive, 5 minutes off the clock, you're up 21-0. I mean, it's the darndest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Missouri, did you see the comments the head coach made about some of the NIL stuff, which I think is really hilarious. I think he said something to the effect of, he thinks it's poorly structured, I think is the term that he used. And, he sort of hinted that it's unfair.
Because there is none.
Yeah, well, it's true. But what he was kind of comparing it, I find it really funny that you're complaining because he even mentioned that like some of these players are making more than his brother who's a pediatrician, which Godspeed to all of you folks that work with children out there, teachers included. So I don't necessarily disagree with his point, but the fact that it was coming from him, someone who's making millions and millions of dollars a year himself, complaining of how much the students now are making, or the athletes are now making, this guy's making $6 million plus a year, which is just crazy. Anybody would be just over the moon to make that kind of money. Yeah. And you're complaining about these kids finally getting some compensation for their image and likeness. I don't know. I just found it very hypocritical. I'm tired of these coaches complaining when they're just making millions and millions of dollars about this NIL stuff. I don't know. Do you feel the same way?
Well, look, it becomes very hard. It becomes very hard to police a young person when there's money involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because college athletics has did a better job than college academics has ever done at building young people, men and women. Because look, all our colleges try to do these days is, want to change history. And I'm an independent and I'm saying that. But anywho, I think the thing that has to come more than anything is when there's money involved, it's hard to motivate a kid, or like the old Joe Paterno screaming, pull my scholarship or whatever. Well, look, if you got a guy that signed a deal with the school, with the boosters, and all this has been going on anyway, it's just been behind the scenes.
Right.
But I do think there has to be some kind of outline. I think Nick Saban said it best. Look, the players should get paid something. What is that? Should they all be paid the same? Or should a Caleb Williams of USC, if he can go make $5 million, what about the poor offensive lineman at Alabama? Like, so, how does the kid at UC Irvine on the bench as a walk-on, should he make the same as, Zach Edey at Purdue?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think we got to figure that out. To me, there should be a baseline. Every kid gets this, right? What does a college student really need?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That should be spread every sport. Water polo, gymnastics, college football. Even if college football brings in most of the money, because most of these sports lose money. Right. So spread it even. What is that per kid? I don't know. I mean, what's a kid need per month?
Well, I just think,
$2,000.
Yeah, I mean, they
even that's a lot.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of these athletes, yeah, sure, a full ride's great. Thanks for my free education, but I can't afford to get home this weekend for college to see my parents because I just don't have cash to be able to. I mean, I literally live and breathe football. There's no way for them to make money, so I do think there's got to be some amount where they feel like financially comfortable to be able to do extra things. I agree with you. Outside of their education. Yeah, but what that number is, I don't know. And I surely think that this is more of a, the fact that the NCAA hasn't figured this out, not to get too controversial, but, we're letting men compete in women's sports. Like, that's okay. But now we're, so anyways, it's just
we have fought for decades and decades for women's rights.
Right.
Which I think is extremely important. Let me just be clear. A woman should have all the opportunities a man has. Heck, most women are smarter than us anyway, right? The fact that now, after we fought so hard for their rights, that we're trying to, it's just such a hypocritical deal.
Yeah, it really is.
And again, freedom and equality. You want to be equal? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Break it down into 3 leagues. Okay? Have your male sports, your women's sports, and I don't know what's between my legs sports. And let's see who shows up.
Right.
All right. Take your flags and your little cheer pom-poms and go watch the I don't know what's between my legs sports league. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the solution.
But I just want to ask everybody out there, if you do have a daughter, when your daughter's in the post backing some girl up, trying to make a post move, and she's not backing a girl up, she's backing it up on some 10-inch dong, how that makes you feel. And if you say it's okay, then you deserve to be taken to prison and beat with a nightstick to a bloody pulp.
So I have daughters, and you do too. It's like that's why I'm a little bit more. I'm with you on as far as just the idea that it really is unsettling to me that my daughter might not go to a college and compete in some kind of sport and have a fair. I'm saying it's all fair. I'm not saying participation trophies. She's got to work hard. She's got to make her way there, but compete and it be a somewhat level playing field. So that's where my concern comes from, is mostly as a girl dad too. But I didn't mean to get us up on that tangent. I just my point is that I think our priorities are so messed up, that we can't figure out how to this NIL thing, and yet we have these other things going on. That's just Anyways, so didn't want.
Yeah, the NCAA is a disaster. Look, let's not hide from. We live in the world of everybody deserves to have equal. Look, I'm not equal to LeBron James. Mm-hmm. I may love the game of basketball as much as him, but guess what? God didn't make me 6'9". God didn't make me with LeBron James's work ethic. It just didn't happen. That's not what I was born to do. But we want to have, if you do that, then go do it. But if you can't do it, don't cry and whine. Go get a job like everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? We want to include everybody, but we got to get this through our head. Not everybody can be included. Again, I coach high school athletes, and I say all the time to parents that think their kid is going Division I, do you know what it takes to even be Division III?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you even have an inkling of a clue? I can't get your kid to go hard in the layup line.
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm too hard? Dear God, wait till they eat his lunch at the next level. Right? So again, we just got to, I think if we're just real and have real conversations, a lot of this stuff can get worked out. And that's what the NCAA needs to do. They need to run it like a business. They're not running it like a business. they're running it trying to appeal to everybody. Well, when you try to appeal to everybody, ask Anheuser-Busch how that's worked out for them.
We're just continuing to go down the political rabbit hole.
I'm just being honest,
no,
right?
No.
I'm just being like, everybody has a lane and everybody has rights and there is equality. But to think we're all going to lay in the same tub in this country or this world and just have a love orgy with each other is an unrealistic expectation that will never happen.
Yeah, you're right.
And the sooner we can move on with it, and I just respect you for what you think and you respect me, and even if we don't agree, just not be hateful to each other, we'll be a lot better off.
Yeah. Your point
Applause,
about,
please.
You can't. Yeah. I know my buttons aren't working, of course. So there you go. Yes. Yeah. Kenji will get your applause in there. But no, I work in the beverage industry and stay pretty close to the whole Bud Light thing as well. And I think the point you made is correct. Like, you can't appeal to everybody, right? Know your base. And in this situation, at least, like, know who your core audience is. And then, don't alienate them. Don't disenfranchise them by trying to be too inclusive of everybody. Like, know what your brand is, know who your target audience is. And yeah, sure. Maybe maybe you have some ups and downs in your quarterly calls and your your sort of, finances or whatever. But in the end, trying to appeal to an audience that is clearly not your audience and disenfranchising, what was it, like 40% of their sales are down like 40%. Crazy. I mean, we're talking billions, but yeah, I totally agree with you there. So, well, let's jump over to NFL, our favorite topic to end the night, and always lots to talk about with the NFL. I'm
so excited. The NFL, I can't wait. We're like 91 days or something insane.
I know. And it does always come really fast too. I mean, here we are in June and August. It's like, whoa, it's here. So we got some off-season kind of chatter going on here with, folks like DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook. When big players like this come on the market, of course, right? There's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of, could they go to my team or whatever? And I just wanted to get your thoughts on those two players. Of course, Dalvin's still with the Vikings at this point, but there is speculation he'll be traded or released after today, which is June 1st. Just they didn't want to pay that contract extension, and so with him, with D-Hop, who's actually already a free agent now, we're the likely landing places for two players that I still think can add a lot of value to a team at this point.
Well, Dalvin Cook, I think, stays put.
Really?
Because I think, first of all, we heard all this stuff about Derrick Henry, and he's still in Tennessee.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, I just can't get through my head that Dalvin Cook will get moved before Derrick. So I guess what I'm saying, if there wasn't a market for a trade for Derrick Henry, if you're Minnesota, what are you going to get for Cook? And look, I don't want to hear 5th, 6th round pick. You might as well just let him walk. Look, that Minnesota team, everybody's down on the Vikings, and I just do not get it. I am way in the minority, right? Minnesota, dynamite is what they're going to be again this year, right? They actually got a defensive coordinator. With D. Hopkins, I'm curious to see how that works out because it goes back to the Jimmy Butler thing.
Okay.
Hopkins is going to have to decide, and I don't care which way he goes. I'm not going to judge him because he's 31. Mm-hmm. And 31 in the NFL these days is old.
Yep.
Right? So the guy has to make a decision. Do I want to be with a winner, or because of my age, I want to have one more big payday? And what he decides there determines everything, because the two places that make the most sense, Kansas City and Buffalo, well, the reason neither one of them traded for him, they were like, we're not paying this guy 15 to 20 mil.
Yeah.
He's just not worth it anymore. He's not healthy enough. He's a little longer in the tooth. So while those places might make more sense, you might have a team like Cleveland reuniting with Deshaun Watson, and Cleveland's already as far in as they can go anyway, so they give him $20 million. Right?
Yeah.
Or, a Baltimore gives him 18, so they don't have to face him in the division. Or, I don't think Dallas gets in that kind of a running because they didn't get in the OBJ, but, there could be a dark horse team that gives him a bunch of the Giants.
Giants,
right?
Yeah.
The Giants got, look,
Danny Dimes. There you go.
Danny Dimes with Barkley still hasn't signed the franchise tag. He says he's not. He says they can find me. He says he's not playing. Danny Dimes with no Saquon Barkley, the Giants aren't winning more than 6 games. Not happening. So maybe I don't care how good of a coach Brian Daboll is. He could be Jesus Christ on the sideline with a clipboard. They're not winning more than 6 games with Danny Dimes with no Barkley. I just tell you that right now. All right. If they do, I'll chop a testicle out of my sack on live YouTube. We'll stream it. All right.
Wow. I mean,
it's not happening.
We're going from you having to wear a dress.
Yeah.
When I win my bet to now you're chopping off. You're going straight. Man, maybe you're taking this whole transgender athlete thing a little too far.
So, Sean Payton on TV here at the game. You got Sean Payton, Peyton Manning, and Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's going to have a phenomenal year.
I think it's definitely going to be a turnaround for sure for them. Yeah, I do.
So back to D-Hop. He's going to have to decide, is it money or is it playing with a contender like a Buffalo or Kansas City? Because if so, he's going to have to take a whole lot less. I can say this without Chopple in here, because if he was here, it would go into like an hour-and-a-half conversation about Pat Mahomes. But Kansas City makes the most sense for both sides.
Could you imagine?
Oh,
That'd be so terribly frustrating.
I'd have to take a trip to Europe.
Yeah, Chop's gonna. We'll just let him just do the show by himself for the whole football season.
All you'll hear is Mahomes and slobbering all over the mic.
Yeah, no, I do think that would just be freaking amazing. If I mean, it'd be so frustrating to see. I mean,
be like a crackhead trying to find a bag in the middle of the night.
Yeah, man, but no, I mean, 31. I'm not saying he's in his prime or anything. But I just think he's he's a generational type of player that with the right team, he could still.
I mean, he can still go up and get the ball.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, if he's on the field, if he's healthy, you can just throw it up. He's going to come down with it.
And I just think it was a bad situation all around in Arizona. I mean, it was just terrible with everything that happened with Kingsbury and Kyler Murray and everything else. Like, if he goes in the right system, he can definitely contribute. He's got those freaking mitts. He's got those like Mickey Mouse glove hands. It's crazy. How he can just go up and get balls like that. Like, he's so very strong. What? Footballs.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Oh my gosh. Here we go.
I thought you were referring to me in a Dolan evening.
What?
But anyway, you brought up Kyler in Arizona. Let me ask you this. It's a clear consensus, right? I mean, I don't think there's any denying Caleb Williams is going to be the first pick in the draft, right?
Now, you love yourself some Caleb Williams. I mean, I like USC too, but I mean, yeah, sure, maybe. I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
I mean, if he plays like he did last year, I mean, is he pretty much a shoe-in?
Yeah. I mean, unless somebody else just, as of right now, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is it safe to say that the Arizona Cardinals are probably going to be the worst team in the NFL? They're at least going to be in the bottom 4.
Yeah,
They'll be in the discussion.
I would think so.
So they're in the discussion. They're married to this contract with Kyler.
Yeah.
Let's say they fool around and get the first pick or even the second pick, because I don't think the kid from North Carolina, Drake May, is no slouch either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or you have Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. If he goes to Notre Dame and pits up big numbers, I'm just curious if those guys end up being what I think they're going to be. What do you do if you're Arizona?
Yeah. It's not like you.
Well, it's not like you can get on the phone and tell somebody to take Kyler. Nobody's doing that.
Right.
What do you do?
Situation. No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think for Arizona, you trade back and you try and get like a value pick that, you could sit behind Kyler and you have as like sort of an insurance policy. You can't do that with a first round pick though. You get a first round pick as quarterback, like you got to expect that.
So
person.
If they had the first pick, you would not draft Caleb Williams.
I would, but I'm just saying I don't think they will, given what we've seen in their alliances to Murray.
Very interesting.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong, because it's a dumpster fire there. So, what teams do you think have the most pressure to perform this year? And I'll give you one more too. What teams and what quarterbacks do you think have the most pressure to perform this year and be in the top 5 as opposed to that bottom 5, as you just mentioned?
Well, I'll spin it a little different, because opposed to the bottom, I'll just do the teams I think have the top 5 that have the most pressure.
The most pressure. Okay.
For one reason or the other.
Yep.
And number 5, I'm going to put the Philadelphia Eagles because.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Hurts gets the bag. They were just in the Super Bowl. We know all about Super Bowl hangovers from the loser. And everybody on every podcast, every major network, every magazine article, everybody's already penciled them out to the Super Bowl and said there's nobody in the NFC that can compete with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you heard different? I haven't.
No. I mean, so you're saying that they're sort of in that window that you kind of have to close the opportunity now.
They're in the window, but they have the pressure of, like, if they just get to the NFC Championship game and lose.
Oof.
Yeah, oof.
Yeah.
Oof. With that, Rod, and I mean, I kind of agree with everybody. Who in the NFC? I mean, San Francisco, we don't know if they have a legit quarterback.
That's the big thing for them, yeah.
Yeah, people say Dallas. I don't even think Dallas makes the playoffs, but I know everybody loves talking about them.
But Brock Purdy, he's been out there throwing the ball a little bit. It looks like his elbow is getting a little bit.
Here we go with Brock freaking Purdy. Jesus.
So I don't know, Mr. Ellis.
I heard somebody say Sam Darnold was going to be comeback player of the year because he's going to end up being the starter in San Francisco. I mean, just every absurd thing you could hear about San Francisco's quarterback just nauseates me. But again, I think the Eagles got the most pressure because, again, everybody's penciled you out there.
Sure.
You're supposed to be the number 1 seed. You're supposed to roll. So I think number 4 is the Buffalo Bills. Win.
Agree.
Win.
Yeah.
When's it going to happen?
Right.
And if they get bounced in the second round again, or even worse, let's say they don't win the division, how much longer before Sean McDermott you got to make a decision? I mean,
AFC is just so darn good. I mean,
Buffalo's window, look, we might not have known it then, but Kansas City scoring there with 13 seconds left in that thriller might have been Buffalo's best shot to get to the Super Bowl and win it when we look back on it.
Yeah.
So I think there's an enormous amount of pressure on them, and the division got a whole lot better. Number 3, this one's going to shock you, the LA Chargers. Look, you make the playoffs, you blow the game to the Jaguars, you're up 24, you blow it. You bring in Kellen Moore.
Yep.
Everybody heralds him as this great offensive coordinator. I don't buy that, but whatever. Him and, they are 12-year-old. What happens there if the Chargers miss the playoffs or get bounced in the first round again? With all that talent.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point in time, you got to be saying, look, we thought this team could win the division or whatever.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right? Number 2, the Dallas Cowboys. I'm hearing Dak for an extension. That blows my mind because he's not even a top 10 quarterback. We got McCarthy calling all these plays. He can't he's in love with the microphone in his mouth. Talking about Kellen Moore and how his offense is going to be better. And I don't even think Dallas makes the playoffs. I mean, I think this thing has the potential to be an absolute, forget dumpster fire. This thing has California forest fire written all over it.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, this has the chance to do a lot of damage. Okay?
Well, don't you think Dallas is in that top 5 most pressure every year?
Really? But I think
is it any different?
I think them and everybody else has just thought all of a sudden, because they beat a horrible Tampa Bay team with a 45-year-old Tom Brady, that, well, if Dak just doesn't turn it over against the Niners, they win. Well, maybe, but he did turn it over, right? Mm-hmm. So you can say all you want, but he still turned it over. He hasn't proven that he can't do that. So I just think it's interesting to see what Dallas does there. I think they could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And number 1, The New York Jets. Look,
Absolutely.
the honeymoon's going. You got the GM and Robert Salah. They're definitely on the hook. If this Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't result in at least one playoff win.
Agreed. Yeah.
Wow, this was a major failure. And you might say, well, I mean, they're going to win a playoff game. Really? Why? Because number 1 seed in Lambeau and they couldn't do it. So what makes me think they're going to do it now?
Yeah.
Well, the Jets are far better than that Packer team was. Okay. Whatever you say.
Well, I mean, I do think, the fact that the quarterback is obviously probably happier in a situation now than he was then, not to say that it affects his performance, but surely it has to at a certain point. I do think the Jets are built to win a little bit more than Green Bay. I wouldn't say anything. They're not like, blowing them out of the water or anything, but I just think it comes about. It's a tough division and it's a tough AFC. Like, it's a ton of pressure. Yeah. Because, you're really going to have to overperform to get you that one playoff win because there's so many good teams in that division and in the conference itself. But yeah, couldn't agree more on that.
Jokic just hit a turnaround fadeaway that was like out of this freaking world, man. That guy's just incredible.
Kind of one of those Dirk-esque type.
Yeah. 11-point game, less than a minute.
Yeah, I think I'm watching it here in time because I'm behind you too.
So top
All
5 quarterbacks with the most pressure. Number 5 is a tie. So it's really 6 guys. I couldn't get it down to 5. So I got 6 guys here that I like for this. All right. Number 6, the honorable mention guy, as I call him.
Okay.
Tua.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going, you're a Tua hater. No, the guy's just got to stay healthy.
No.
I mean, Tua's got... Number 5, I've heard all this talk about this huge leap that Justin Fields is going to make, and the Chicago Bears are going to be in contention to win that division. And I'm obviously not drinking from the same fountain as everybody else because I don't see that, right? But if he doesn't, the coach is gone. They'll probably move on from Fields. I think this is a huge year for Justin Fields and the Bears. Huge.
Yep.
Number 4, Derek Carr.
Okay.
All right. New face here in New Orleans.
Yep.
They bring John Gruden in to help teach him the offense. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. Dennis Allen, who was Gruden's defensive coordinator years ago, comes in the game or comes down to New Orleans and helps Derek Carr get used to the New Orleans playbook and all that.
Interesting.
Makes me think John Gruden's close to an NFL comeback.
He'll be back. I think it's just a matter of time. Just got to let everything kind of settle.
Yeah, well, he might be back with the Raiders if this turns out to be a disaster with McDaniels again. So,
yeah.
But anywho, so I think that Denver gets the cover. They win by 11. I think that this is a big year for Carr. The NFC South, the Saints should walk through and win this division.
Right.
So if he doesn't play well, might be some stuff there. Number 3, Deshaun Watson. Showed some improvement. Cleveland's went all in. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got Elijah Moore. He's got Hunt, Chubb. They got weapons. That defense is good. He's got a good head coach. He's got to stay out of the massage parlors and massage his team towards the end zone.
Yes.
So, number 2, my man we were just talking about, not my man, but, Russell Wilson.
Oh, massive. Yeah.
Massive year for him.
Gosh,
if he does not play well, Sean Payton's moving on. Sean Payton is moving on. So this is a massive year for Russell Wilson. I think Denver, if they don't make a wild card, at least needs to be 9-8. I think they need to finish above 500. Maybe 8-9, depending on how they get the 8-9. But they definitely got to be like 7 wins, 6 wins. He's gone. They're rebuilding the whole thing. And number 1, I can't have the top team with the most pressure be the Jets and then the top quarterback not be Aaron Rodgers. Your guy.
My guy.
I mean, he's at Taylor Swift concerts, dancing, shaking his booty, screaming, Jets have won the Super Bowl. I mean, the guy is just loving the attention.
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers is a top 15 quarterback all time. I don't think he's top 15 in the league anymore.
Okay.
Just because I haven't seen it.
Sure.
If he plays like he did 2 years ago, no problems. But if he plays like he did last year, and, this whole, Nathaniel Hackett, let's just be clear. Nathaniel Hackett wasn't even calling the plays in Green Bay.
Right.
He was like his babysitter, not an actual coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if they don't win this division, or they don't at least compete hard with Buffalo and it's neck and neck coming down the stretch, and they don't win at least a playoff game, and I don't even think a playoff game is enough. I mean, the people in New York, they want AFC Championship game, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's the market that he's in, too, that adds that pressure 100%. Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on Aaron, and Aaron's acted fine. You know what I mean? You can tell he's been in Green Bay. He's like, I can go to games at Madison Square Garden and Swiftie concerts. And he's like a kid at college. He's like a freshman that just got to college and figured out what his first keg party was.
You know what? I see coming because of both of their dating kind of backgrounds. Is there a potential Aaron Rodgers, Taylor Swift kind of coupling maybe? Right? They both have had, tumultuous relationships and gone through a lot of.
What's the age gap?
Doesn't matter. Taylor Swift dated John Mayer when he was like 10 or 12 years older than her. I don't know. Something.
10 or 12 years older.
Or 44. Right. I can't remember. She's a couple years younger than me. But.
Gotcha. All right. Well, look, who knows? I'm just saying, if they don't win the division, a first round win, there'll be a wild card. So one win only gets them to the divisional round.
Right.
So it really depends. How does this play out and how do they finish the year? You know what I'm saying? Because this honeymoon is great and everybody's getting lots of ratings off of it and everybody's happy. But I'm just saying this thing has the potential to go south really quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You have an over-under on I'm a little early, but Jets wins maybe? You've thought about it? Probably have to look at the schedule. Maybe that's another show. I don't know.
Yeah. Next week, let's do that. Let's get into over-unders, right? Like of teams, and maybe we just do a division or two because there's so much there. I mean, it would be like a 3-hour show to break down every one.
Yeah, we'll do a division at a time.
But just I do have win totals here real quick, but I don't have the schedule. Again, we can get into that later. But over under 9.5 wins.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting.
What did I say? 9 and 8?
That
was Denver. I said that. Yeah. If you take the over, you got to lay minus 120 juice to the over.
All right.
So to win your bet, they got to go 10-7. Now the Broncos, I said Russ, and I haven't looked at these yet. I said Russell Wilson and the Broncos had to win 9 games or 8, depending, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over under 8.5.
8.5. Knew it.
Over plus 106. So, the old dog knows what he's talking about.
He's still got a few left.
Still got a few left.
Tricks in the bag.
Now, hold on. Here's the one. We'll do one more real quick. This is the one you run to the book, especially if Barkley isn't playing. Over under for the Giants, 7.5. Somebody give me a suitcase.
It's a duffel bag.
I'm going under.
Couple duffels. Love it. Love it. Oh man, so fun. Okay, so next week we'll get into we'll look at some potential schedules and over-unders for division at a time. I think that'd be a fun little thing. We got some time to kill before Chop gets back, so let's have some fun.
Yeah, we won't burn it down too much. At least not intentionally.
Oh, exactly. Unless we're talking about California forest fires and transgender stuff and anyways, but we'll see.
He's going to be really upset when he gets back and HR has a meeting with him.
Yeah. So hopefully he doesn't listen to this on his flight. Well, I guess he's flying right now. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Hey, anyways. Red Sox win 8-2. We go 2-0 on the day. Last time that happened, Clinton was shoving cigars in places.
See?
We're back, baby. June's
gonna be our it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, all downhill.
Absolutely.
No, uphill or whatever.
Yeah. Either one. So, got anything in John's betting corner? I don't want to steal too much from Break the Board, but you got any little?
No. Just Break the Board comes out every day. we have that. It's really for a diehard gambler because it's kind of bland. We just go right into every game. Obviously, I can't give you all the work that I do because we'd be on the show for like 4 hours. But I just try to, it's about, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many MLB games on the slate. Break down each game. Tomorrow, I'll be talking about the Stanley Cup finals and some angles there. But I go into the games, pitching matchups, how they did, recent starts, their starts against the opposite team, how some of the batters have did. So again, it's just to kind of help you out, give you a tool and a guide there. So please check it out under BCCS Sports called Break the Board. Hopefully we'll have a new logo to kind of separate that here coming soon for you. Mm-hmm. And look, guys, questions, John at bccsports.com. Questions on the podcast, things you would like to see on either Break the Board or Bustin' Chops Calling Shots, different things you would like to see us do. Again, this is a network and shows based around to help people, right?
Right.
Again, betting these games covers me. So it's just to help people and bring awareness and help sports gamblers and avid sports fans and not be like everybody else and take our whole show talking about the Yankees, the Lakers, or Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, which is all anybody else talks about.
Absolutely. Yep. And you can check that out on our Bustin' Chops Calling Shots podcast feed. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen. So currently it's still on that feed. Could break off on its own. We'll see. For now, it's also on the YouTube channel at BCCS Sports. And then, send John an email if you have any questions. You can also tweet us at BCCS Sports. John stays pretty close to the Twitter. His Twitter fingers are hot. So please comment or, comment on a TikTok. Heck, sounds like he's pretty active on there now too. So,
yeah.
We'll read some of your stuff online or on the show, that is. And we'd love to kind of include you guys in the show. Just a reminder that all of our social handles, again, Facebook, Instagram, at Bustin' Chops Calling Shots, TikTok, and Twitter are at BCCS Sports. So give us a follow, guys. We have a lot of these clips that come out talking about a lot of this stuff, give you guys a chance to interact and engage. And then, this show is brought to you by Bet Online, so don't forget that. And then next week we'll be back. We'll be talking about some schedules per division. We haven't decided the division yet, but we'll do that. And then
let's do AFC East, man.
AFC East. All right.
Do the AFC East.
I'm putting it on the board. Officially. All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys. Again,
thanks to Bet Online again.
Thanks to Bet Online and thanks to Believe for having us on their network. Appreciate everybody doing the hard work there. And Chop will be gone for a couple weeks here, so it'll be me and John with you. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of the NBA finals. We'll be back around Game 4 next week, so hopefully it's still going on by then. If everything plays out the way we think it's going to, and then we'll be deep into the Stanley Cup. So in the meantime, hope you all enjoy your end of your weekends, and we'll talk to you all soon.
All right, love you, my winners.